Hello, my name is Timofey Popkov. I'm Director of Business Development of the anyLogistix company. In previous webinars, we discussed how to design, optimize, and analyze the supply chains with anyLogistix. And today, I'm going to talk about how to run supply chain with a digital twin. This is the agenda for today's webinar. First, I'll talk about the term digital twin because there is a lot of confusion about it. Then I'll talk about digital twins in supply chains and how to embed digital twin developed with anyLogistix into business environments, into your IT infrastructure. And at the end of today's presentation, I'll show you a simple example of the digital twin in anyLogistix, how to integrate this digital twin with the IT infrastructure, and usage scenario. Basically, how you may benefit, what kind of problems you may solve with a digital twin. What is a digital twin? If you look at the definition by Gartner, digital twin is a digital representation of a real-world entity or system. Basically, it means that any computer model is a digital twin, which is obviously not true. If you look at the definitions from Wikipedia, there are many of them there. You'll find out that the most of those definitions were created with one particular object in mind. For example, in the first definition, they're talking about vehicle. Why vehicle? Then in the second one, they're talking about real machine. In the third one, they're talking about physical object or system. Why it's only physical? So, but if you look at the words which people use to describe the digital twin, you'll find a lot of similarity here. To describe the digital twin, people mostly use words like simulation, real-time, dynamics, and as a goal or purpose of the digital twin, they use understanding, learning, and reasoning. If we apply the same terminology to the supply chain, we'll get the following picture. Supply chain digital twin is a detailed supply chain simulation model which reads real-time data or snapshot of data, then forecast the dynamics of the supply chain behavior, and then this dynamics is used to understand how your supply chain works, to learn various dependencies inside your supply chain, as well as to test an action plan or to test actions which you do with your supply chain. And all that together is a supply chain digital twin. The digital twin is mostly used to do mid-term decisions and short-term decisions. Mid-term decisions are related to supply chain processes, resources, logic, and they may require the simulation of a few months of operations. As to short-term decisions, they're mostly about identification of the possible problems, their analysis, and finding the solutions for those problems. And that kind of decisions may require a few days or maybe weeks of simulation. What I would like to underline here, that many vendors of so-called control tower software, they actually call a digital twin this real-time data or snapshot part. And this is not correct. because again, real-time data or snapshot, this is just the input information to the digital twin. Digital twin is just uses this information to make a prediction. Often we get a question, is there a space for optimization or AI or analytics when we are talking about digital twin? Let's consider the following example. Let's say we have a digital twin, and on day 1 we run the forecast and everything is fine. On day 2 we run the forecast and again everything is fine. The same, let's say, on the day 3, but on the day 4 something happens. For example, your distribution network was destroyed because of whatever reason, and then here digital twin may run optimization to find out the new structure for your supply chain, deploy this structure back to the digital twin, and continue simulation. So yes, optimization, analytics, AI can be a part of the digital twin. And if those technologies are used to make decisions in certain situations, the simulation is used to forecast the behavior of the supply chain. Another example may be inventory policy, which use AI to do a prediction of how much and when to order. And digital twin, for example, may call this policy, identify the quantity in time, and then continue simulation. Let's consider what makes a supply chain simulation model a digital twin, because obviously not every simulation model is a digital twin. First, this should be a detailed supply chain simulation model. This model should be able to predict the behavior of the supply chain pretty accurate, precise. Otherwise, just digital twin doesn't make sense. Then, digital twin always uses the real-time data or snapshot to do the forecast. It just has to be able to read the current state of your supply chain and forecast its behavior for some time in the future. Another important mechanism which digital twin should have, this is notifications and alarms. Digital twin should be able to notify you somehow about something which going on inside your supply chain. For example, inventory drops below a certain level or something else happens inside your supply chain. And then digital twin should be able to send those notifications to the user. Another important thing, triggers. This is automatic actions. Basically it means it describes like if something happens, then do this. Like an example we just described or discussed on the previous slide. For example, digital twin may run optimization cycle optimization in certain situations. Another important thing about digital twin, once you identify the problem with the digital twin, you have to be able to find out an action plan and test this action plan to be sure that the actions you are going to take will really work. And the last but not the least, integration with IT infrastructure. In all of the cases, digital twin is a part of a bigger thing, and digital twin should be able to be integrated with the surrounding IT infrastructure. Now, let's talk about embedding digital twin developed with anyLogistix into business environments. In our product portfolio, we have 3 products. 2 of them, anyLogic and anyLogistix, are model development environments. anyLogic is a general purpose dynamic simulation software, and anyLogistix is a product to optimize, design, analyze supply chains and develop their digital twins. And the third product is anyLogic Private Cloud, which allows you to execute those models in the cloud. These models in the private cloud can be integrated with the surrounding IT infrastructure, for example, with your ERP system, supply chain management systems, and so on, as well as with any external databases. And then the results which are produced by those models or digital twins can be visualized with different visualization platform, BIs, whatever else. Basically to say that the products we are develop, this is the platform which allows you to create the models as well as to embed those models into the business environments. As an example, let's consider a control tower. For those who are not familiar with this term, this is just a central hub which gives you visibility on your supply chain, what's going on inside your supply chain, and also which helps you to make the decisions and track your actions. The control tower has 2 main components: visualization or BI, which user uses to make the decisions to analyze the current state of the supply chain. And so this visualization is based on data. Inside, there are 3 modules. The first of them is responsible for representing the current state of your supply chain and its history. The second one responsible for decision support and forecast. And this is exactly where we play. So this is exactly where digital twins are used. And again, I think this control tower concept, that's actually not only about supply chains. It's in general about company. On this slide, I'm just talking about supply chain in manufacturing, but also you may add, like, for example, marketing there, finances, whatever else. Again, to predict, to forecast the dynamics of your company. And the third module is responsible for actions, because if you made a decision, then you have to create an action plan and track this action plan. And this is exactly what for this third module is responsible. Well, let's do demo. But before I start, I should say this is not an easy demo to do because I'll demo you 3 software products: anyLogistix, anyLogic Private Cloud, Microsoft Power BI, and also will use slides in PowerPoint. I'll switch between those products all the time. I'll do my best to make the process clear to you, but please watch on what I'm doing on the screen closely, otherwise you may be lost. Okay, let's start with the demo. This is the problem definition. Let's assume we have a pharmaceutical supply chain in the UK. This is a cold chain. We want to monitor service level which we provide to our customers. If the service level drops below 100%, we have to recover this as soon as possible. What we will do in this demo scenario. So we already have supply chain digital twin in anyLogistix, and I'll show it to you shortly. Then I'll upload digital twin in anyLogistix private cloud, show to you how it works there, and then show to you Microsoft Power BI, which we will use to analyze the supply chain behavior. And then I'll show you a usage scenario to give you the ideas how you may use the digital twin, how you may benefit from that. What I'll do, I'll model 3 days, 24th, 25th, and 26th of September. Each day, for example, on 24th, digital twin will read the current state of the supply chain and then do the forecast for the nearest 30 days. Then we will do the same for 25th and 26th of September. If we see that digital twin predicts drop in service level, we will use anyLogistix to find out a solution, and then we'll update our digital twin in the cloud. This is the demo configuration I'll use for demonstration. I'll use 2 laptops or computers. On one of them I have anyLogistix private cloud and Microsoft SQL Server installed. On another one I have anyLogistix and Microsoft Power BI. And just to be clear, I'm here. Now let's switch to anyLogistix. Here is our supply chain. So we may look at its structure. So we have the central distribution center, which receives the goods from the suppliers. Then the central distribution center sends the goods to the regional distribution centers and then to the customers. In our model, we have 9 products, just for simplification purposes. Also, we use milk runs to do the delivery. And depending on the segment, the delivery is done by different vehicle types. For example, from the supplier to the distribution center, this is one vehicle type. From the distribution center to the regional site, another one. And from the regional site to the customers, the third one. That's probably all with a brief description of the model. Again, this model reproduce how our actual supply chain works. And now we'll run this model to observe the statistics which is collected. I'll run it a bit faster. So this first step is about service level. So you may just look at the service level for each product. Also, you may look at the service level provided by each site in our supply chain. Also, we have ELT service level by product and ALT service level by source. Just would like to remind you that ELT stands for expected lead time. So we define within which time we want to deliver the goods to the customer. And if we manage to meet this deadline, then this is positive experience. If we are not, then it's negative experience. Then we may look at the inventory dynamics again per each site, per product. So there are different types of statistics on inventory here, including histograms. You may look at profit and loss statements, some other financial characteristics. This is how profit and loss statement change daily. This is the total. here. Also, you may look at the lead time. Again, for each customer, for each product, you may look at the lead time. As well as on the distribution of the lead time. And you also may analyze fulfillment here. So that's all with the description of the model. Now I'll upload this model to the cloud. Again, since we are collating pretty many number of different statistics, saving results to the database may take time. So here we already have post-processor export dashboard to external DB. This post-processor is used exactly to connect with the Power BI. So after each simulation run, ALX export the data to the separate tables, the data from the dashboard to the separate tables, and then those tables, the information in those tables will be visualized or is visualized with the Microsoft Power BI. Well, let's do it. Let's export our model to the cloud. Here it is. So it automatically opens. I'll just run this model to see how it works on the cloud. Again, I'm now in the browser. You see, this is Firefox browser, and this is our model. Should we just run? See? Yes, only we may run it faster. I just pause, stop it. So, and now I'll switch to Power BI. See, I use Power BI web app to visualize the data. Here it is. So I'll press refresh button to refresh the data. Yep. See, the data was refreshed. Here we have exactly the same date we have in anyLogistix. This one. We may look here at the same charts which we have on the dashboard. This is service level. This is available inventory. If we select a chart, open filters, we may also look at the dynamics of inventory at each particular site. While this chart shows the inventory at all our sites. For example, this cold medicine, which is yellow, at all our sites right now we have 12,900 units. So we may look at revenue at our cost structure. This is daily expenses, and we may look and analyze the lead time. And this chart, lead time, best, mean, worst. It basically shows you the average, the worst, and the worst and the best lead time we have in our supply chain. So, well, let's now switch back to the presentation. So what we already did, we just uploaded the model to anyLogistix private cloud, executed this model there. Then we open Microsoft Power BI and look at the statistics which was generated here. Look at that statistic generated by that model, by our digital twin. We look at that in Power BI. So the next step we have to do, we have to connect our digital twin with the initial state to allow our digital twin to read the initial state of our supply chain. Now let's switch back to anyLogistix to do it. By default, anyLogistix uses basic period to define start and end date for the simulation. We will change it to initial state as a start date, and end date will be custom date. Both initial state and custom date we will manage from the script. I'll talk about that a bit later. Now we are ready to upload this model to the cloud. Let's do it. Here it is. You see, this is the second experiment was created. It means this is the second version of the model. Now let's go back to the presentation. And before we move to the next step, I would like to repeat what I did here. First, I showed you the supply chain digital twin model in anyLogistix. Then we uploaded this model to anyLogistix private cloud, run this model there in the cloud. Then we looked at the Power BI, which visualized the data which were produced by the supply chain digital twin run in the cloud. And at the end, we changed our model in the way that it could read the initial state. It would read the initial state and run the simulation from that initial state. Let's go for the step 2. For the step 1, sorry. Now we'll do the following. Our supply chain digital twin will read the initial state for day 1 for 24th of September. Then the digital twin will be executed in anyLogistix private cloud, and then we will look at the graphics in Microsoft Power BI. Now to do this, to change the initial state, to read the initial state and run digital twin, we have to just click this link. This link run the script which consists of 2 parts. The first part, this one, it just changes the initial state, and then the second one execute the digital twin in the cloud. Now let's go to the Power BI to look at the results. Here's the Power BI. So to look at the results, we have to click this refresh button. Power BI may update the data automatically, but the minimum period which you may define is 15 minutes. You see, the data was changed, the date was changed to 24th of September. And we may see that the service level is good. We are completely okay with that. We may also look at the inventory dynamics, revenue, cost, lead time, any other characteristics we may add here. Okay, let's switch back to the presentation. Now we'll read the initial state. We'll change the initial state to day 2 or 25th of September. Digital twin again will read it, run the simulation and produce the results, which we again will analyze with the Power BI. So let's do it. Again, I'll click this button, this link. Again, you see, if I'm not sure if you managed to see it before. So this first part of the script is the next time I'll show you, is just a SQL statement. We just call the SQL query, and then again the statement which runs the digital twin in the cloud. Let's switch to Power BI. Here it is. You see now this is 24, and we will click again the refresh button. See, this is 25. Again, everything is fine. We are good. Nothing to change. Excellent. Let's go back to presentation. Now we will read the initial state for day 3, September 26. Then again, digital twin will simulate or do the prediction, and we'll see that service level is dropped finally. So let's run it. Click it. You see this script is a SQL script, and here is basically the string which just execute the digital twin in the cloud. You see, it's pretty easy. This is just the ID, cloud URL, and the model name. So yeah, again, it may take again a bit of time because we have to save statistics to the database. And by the way, we already mentioned that in our previous webinars, but please remember, if you collect a lot of statistics, it may be gigabytes of data, and so it may take time to just save this information to the database. Just remember about that. Okay, let's go to the Power BI. This is 25. Let's refresh. See, this is 26, and we may see that our service level was dropped for all of our products. But if you look at the service level by source, we'll see that it was dropped only for site 2. What is next? On the next step, we will analyze what happened and how this problem can be solved. Now I'll go back to anyLogistix and analyze the model behavior there, our supply chain behavior there. Right now, anyLogistix and anyLogic Private Cloud use the same database where they store the supply chain scenario. Thus, we may immediately analyze in anyLogistix everything which happens here in our private cloud where we run digital twin. Okay, let's switch to anyLogistix. First, what I have to do, I have to refresh the project to get the latest data, scenario data from the database. Let's do it. Here you see that the date of the initial state was changed to 26th of September. We may select it and look at it. So we have here initial stock for our supply chain. We have orders which exist in our supply chain. We have shipments. If we would have production, this table would, production state table would be field 2. As you can see, we have one entry in events table. If I select it, we'll find out that an event happened on 26th of September. This is power shortage. And let's run simulation to see how this event worked for us, how it changed the supply chain behavior. Okay. You see, site 2 was switched off because of this power shortage, but then in a while, in 3 days, it got back because of solely if you consider the real scenario, only if you see that power shortage had happened, only we will know how much time it will take to repair it. In our case, we assume that it takes 3 days to do this. And here you may see the service level, how it dropped because of this event, this power shortage event on site 2. Now we have to work out an action plan, basically what to do. First, I'll stop this model. And in order we would not experiment with the same scenario data which we actually use in our production, in our digital twin, what I'll do, I'll create a copy of this scenario, copy of supply chain digital twin. I will rename it to supply chain digital twin solution. We'll delete it. We'll delete description. Again, we may change post-processor here because there is no need for us to save the results of each simulation run into the database, which is used by our Power BI. I'll run model again here. Again, this is the copy of the digital twin. We may run it faster. You see, we get the same dynamics as in our original digital twin. There is no surprise here. Again, I'll stop the model. And right now we have to find out a solution, what to do. Again, the idea of this webinar is to show you the idea of that digital twin. In the previous webinars, we already showed how you may use anyLogistix for supply chain analysis, optimization, design, actually how you find the solution is not the main subject for that webinar. And for that supply chain, I suggest just to use the simple one. Let's allow the customers which are served by that regional distribution center to buy products directly from the central distribution center in the case this regional site is not working. To do this, I'll navigate to sourcing table. Here in delivery destination, I'll choose the drugstores which are served by site 2. Here they are. And here in sources, for all of those customers which are served by site 2, I'll say that they may get products not only from site 2, but also from central DC. And click OK. You see, now those customers may get products from 2 locations. And let's run simulation again. Okay, let's run a bit faster. You saw that this site was still switched off and then switched on, but the service level, our service level was not changed. This is because of during that period of 3 days, those customers, site 2 customers, were served from central DC, from here. So we see that this solution works, and now let's update our digital twin in the cloud. Again, it's very easy to do because of our digital twin here, the supply chain digital twin and digital twin in the cloud. They use the same database, so the only thing we have to change, we have to go to the sourcing table, go to sources, and again choose DC here as a second source for the customers served by site 2. Done. We shouldn't do anything else. Now let's switch back to the presentation. And click this magic link, which again will just run the digital twin in the cloud. Okay, again, we have to wait a bit until it's executed in the cloud and all the data is saved to the database. Good. And let's switch to Microsoft Power BI. Here. You see the current cost here, that's from previous run, was 1,003,000. Let's refresh the data here. And transportation cost, by the way, 56,000. Let's refresh it. You see, now you may see that transportation cost was changed significantly, and that's the main reason why the total cost was increased. So that's obvious results of the solution we just created or designed. Because of when we deliver the goods from the distribution center, we use different type of tracks which cost another money and so on. So, and we deliver the goods on the longer distance. And here on the service level tab, you may see that service level is fine now. Let's switch back to the presentation. So that's all with the main part of the webinar. I hope this information was useful to you. And now you have a good understanding of what is a digital twin and how you may benefit from the digital twin of the supply chain. The example I demonstrated is only a simple one, but I think it gives you a good ideas, information, how you may benefit from digital twin of the supply chain within your company. Well, now let's do questions. My colleagues were answering questions in the chat during this webinar, and they selected some of the questions for me to answer. The first one is how do you export data to Power BI? Okay, let's switch to anyLogistix. Here it is. We use this post processor to export data to the tables, output data to the tables, which are then visualized with Power BI. So this post processor, which you may select here, export this dashboard again to the tables, and here you may define the settings how you want to export this data to those tables. Next question. I do not have export to cloud in the menu. Is something wrong with my version? No, nothing wrong with your version. We use the special anyLogistix edition, which can be integrated with anyLogic private cloud to export the model from anyLogistix to private cloud. If you are interested in, please feel free to contact our support to do this. To contact our support, you may use this Get Support button. Just click it and type your question. And by the way, here you may use also Feature Request button to ask us to add a feature to anyLogistix which you think makes sense or would be useful to you. Next question. Is it possible to connect to digital twins, supply chain and manufacturing, to make them interact with each other? Yes, sure. In anyLogistix, you may extend any standard model. For example, I'm import. Yeah, this example, distribution network inside for walls. And if I run it, you will see the simple supply chain, which consists of one supplier, two distribution centers and customers. But if I click on that distribution center and go inside this distribution center, you will find the detailed model of that distribution center inside. And you may even change the parameters here. For example, we will decrease the number of forklift trucks to 1 and may observe how it will influence our service level. And then change it back, let's say, to 20. And again, see how it affects the service level of our supply chain or other characteristics. So yes, you may link together the manufacturing model and supply chain digital twin for better and more precise analysis of your supply chain. Next question. Hi, we are we are implementing AI inventory policies. If we create a digital twin, will it properly process such policies? Yes, so again, as I already said, in anyLogistix you may extend everything, and solely you may define your own inventory policies. In this example we have two, which is min-max. You may choose any of the standard one, as well as you may add an extension. You may create, for example, the inventory policy extension and link this inventory policy with your AI engine or AI policy. Next question, what are the hardware requirements to run digital twin? We have about 1,000 SKUs. Yeah, this is a good question. Actually, as we already mentioned in our previous webinars, certainly the more detail you are taking into account, you add into your model, certainly the more computing power you will need to run that model. And the characteristics of the hardware mostly depends on the model you have, on the detailization of your model. Also, if you have a very huge model, let's say you have 10,000 of SKUs or more SKUs, you may just split your supply chain in different digital twins, which deal with the independent products, for example. This is one of the ways how you may cope with this performance issue if you face with this. If your model is really huge and requires a lot of computing power. So basically to say, always there is a way how you may just, how you may deal with your model, with your supply chain digital twin to make it, let's say, runnable on the available hardware. Next question. Can I use network optimization to find new structure of supply chain? Oh, it's probably related to the scenario I demonstrated. Yeah, you remember that in the scenario I demonstrated, this site was out of the configuration for some time. And certainly to find the new configuration of your supply chain, you may use a digital, or you may use network optimization experiment. To do this, you may just export this scenario as a network optimization scenario. Then do the optimization of your network with the network optimization scenario, and then convert it back to simulation scenario to and analyze it there. Okay. Next question. May digital twin predict how tariff change will affect supply chain cost? Okay, that's this question probably from the United States, because there is a lot of discussion there about new tariffs. Certainly you can use digital twin to predict how the new tariffs will influence your supply chain and certainly your cost. And by the way, right now in anyLogistix you may do this with the extensions, but we will release a new version within a month from now, and this version will already have the special tables to define different types of tariffs. So you will be able to use simulation experiment to calculate your cost in the case of tariff change. Next question. we use Tableau. Can we link it with digital twin? Oh, yes, sure. I just use the Power BI because this is what we have. But certainly you may use Tableau or any other visualization platform, actually, including KNIME or anything else. Okay, well, we are almost out of time. So the last question, how difficult is it to build a digital twin of a supply chain? Do you provide consulting services? First, we do not provide any consulting services, but what we do, we may recommend you a partner who can do implementation for you. And certainly we will support you and the partner, providing all the technical support you may need. Implementing digital twin certainly takes time because, as I said in my presentation, this is a detailed model of your supply chain. So you have to collect all the information. You have to map this information into a digital twin, to test it, validate and verify that model. Certainly it's not a 1 month project. It will take more time, and the time it takes probably depends on the size of the company. I would say that probably for the mid-sized company, it may take about probably 5-6 months to develop an initial digital twin, and then solely once you understand the benefit of that, solely you will want to add more and more details there. Just believe me, this is our experience. So that's all with the questions. Again, I would like to thank you for joining this webinar. Here on the slide, I have the list of the training this year. And if you are interested in participating in our training, I would recommend you to register as soon as possible because of number of seats is limited. Again, thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye.